Hi again, I'm back, and today I thought I'd talk about my experience having facial feminization surgery. It's been just over a year since I had FFS with the facial team in Marbella, and I just thought that I would talk today about my experience with FFS, on how I chose kind of the surgeons, the actual kind of process and recovery, and discuss the results and what I'm happy with and what I sometimes have issues with. So yeah, I just thought I'd discuss all of that. Another reason I'm doing this video is because I have many friends who have kind of commented on how the facial team has almost a cult-like following, in that patients who have been to the facial team just rave so much about the experience, which is kind of in general at odds with other surgeons who perform FFS, in that, whilst those patients are extremely happy with their results, they will be over in wherever the surgeon is, but they can't wait to be home. It's just being happy with the results and then get home as quickly as possible. So before I go on, a couple of warnings. First, it's kind of difficult to do this video without appearing really vain, and I'm quite conscious of that. So I apologise if this does come across as vain. And also, it's extremely difficult to do a video like this without showing before shots. So I will show one right now of how I used to look, and this is probably this was a week or so before I came out to Marie in February 2014. So yeah, this is me about 2.5 years ago, I guess. So there it is, that was my before, and yeah, let's continue. So I decided early on in my transition that I wanted to have FFS, and it's a very personal decision. Some people don't want to have it, and that's absolutely fine. And obviously there's the financial implications of it. I was lucky in that I had money to be able to do this, but yeah, that's an awful lot of my savings, and I don't have a pension, so there's a little bit of a trade-off. I'd kind of done lots of research on FFS, and I kind of knew before I had any consultations with surgeons what I thought I needed doing. So I got it down to 3 surgeons, and they were Dr. Bart van der Ven, Dr. Spiegel, and facial team. I had consultations with Dr. Bart and facial team. In the end, I decided not to pursue Dr. Spiegel because of travel and the amount of money. It was just probably too much in kind of both senses. I had a consultation with Dr. Bart, and that was in a hotel in London. I felt like I needed my forehead doing because I had a kind of ridge here, my nose, hairline, very slight, my jaw and chin and trachea. He also recommended a lip lift and kind of fat grafting to the cheeks, and yeah, he was nice enough, but I didn't quite have that connection. A few days later, I had a Skype consultation with Dr. Simon at Facial Team, and again he asked me what I felt I needed, and I went through the various things. He was, you know, very honest. He said that my hairline was kind of within the boundaries of what is considered feminine. So, you know, that if I wanted to pursue a hair transplant, because that's the way they do things there, they do immediate hair transplant after the surgery, that I could, but that it would be kind of purely cosmetic and a kind of a vanity thing, really. So I kind of appreciated, you know, that honesty. He also mentioned that my nose again was within kind of the range of what is kind of female, because they've done lots of studies on wearing noses and the height of jaws and, you know, all sorts. So again, that was within the parameters, and if I wanted to do that, that's absolutely fine with them, but that, again, it was kind of cosmetic and not necessarily feminization. When I had this consultation with Dr. Simon, he was just warm, engaging, friendly, and yeah, I just got a good feeling about him, and yeah, so that's kind of why I went with Facial Team. I completely forgot to say that another reason I chose Facial Team was because they have 4 surgeons in the operating theatre with you, including Dr. Simon and Dr. Capitan, the founders of Facial Team, and also a specialist rhinoplasty surgeon. So that consultation was April 2015, and I got a surgery date for the 2nd of September 2015. The great thing about Facial Team is they do take out all the stress and potential hassle you can have. So we got to Malaga Airport and we were picked up by their taxi driver, who, you know, that firm kind of picks up all the patients throughout the entire time we were in Marbella. For the various appointments we had with Facial Team, we would always use that taxi service, and it was all free. It's all part of the service from Facial Team. We chose to get our own apartment in Marbella because this was the cheaper option, and I also knew that Marie would do a lot of kind of the care and practical things for me during my recovery over there. The alternative, which is kind of unique to Facial Team, is Jenny's Nest, which is run by Jenny Bowman. I got to visit Jenny's Nest just before I left, and it's an amazing, huge villa, and you know, she takes care of many patients at a time during their recovery, and it's just a kind of great atmosphere, and you know, all the patients kind of bond because of, you know, the shared experience, and yeah, she'll do the caring, you know, wash your hair, you know, any sprays, medication, just make sure you're doing everything you need to do. But yeah, we decided not to do that because I kind of knew Marie would help me. Marbella is a beautiful place kind of to have surgery and recover. When we went, obviously it was early September, so it was still pretty much summertime with, you know, 30 degrees Celsius temperatures. I think having a kind of sunny Climate just makes you feel more positive about things as well than maybe if you're in another kind of city elsewhere and it's a bit drab. You know, it just can make you feel probably a bit more down about things. Being near a supermarket, we were near a couple of supermarkets which were Supersol and Lidl, so they were literally just, you know, a minute's walk from our apartment, so that was kind of excellent in that respect. We arrived in Marbella on the 31st of August, late in the evening, and the next morning, first thing, we went to the high care hospital where we met my patient coordinator, who was Tamara. I don't believe Tamara's doing the patient coordinating anymore, but she's still at the facial team. Anyway, when we first got there, I was handed this, which is what I refer to as the FFS Bible. It's got all the kind of consent forms and instructions. It's on kind of recovery, and yeah, it's just got everything you need to know in there. So in the morning, when I got there, I went and had a blood test, an ECG, and then a 3D CT scan on my skull. After having those tests, we returned back to our apartment and then went back to the high care hospital in the afternoon, where we met Dr. Simon and Dr. Bellinger. I apologise if I'm saying those names wrong. Obviously I am, because I'm doing it in a British accent with absolutely no Spanish in there at all. When I was with the surgeons, they showed me the CT scans that they'd done in the morning and talked me through exactly what they were going to do. You know, I could see, you know, just how big my jaw was from this scan, how big my kind of brow ridge was, and then yeah, they kind of touched and felt my face, just so they could feel things as well and just kind of get an absolute idea of what they wanted to do. On the day of the surgery, you arrive in the morning at the high care hospital and you're shown to your private room, where you're given a kind of black gown and stockings and slippers to wear, which is a really fantastic look. I don't remember going under at all. I just remember kind of being awake one moment and then waking up again and being told that they were about to do the hair transplant. I just kind of thought to myself, they haven't done the surgery yet, why are they doing the hair transplant? And kind of, you know, then I started to kind of gently feel my forehead, and I could feel that the ridge was gone, which was kind of incredible. Yeah, then the hair transplant happened, which is a long process. I would imagine I was probably kind of in and out of consciousness, but when I was awake, it was an incredibly tedious experience. Obviously a very worthwhile one with the results, but yeah, it's incredibly boring when you're awake, because it just is. It really is quite a long time. Once the hair transplant was over, I'm not sure what happens. I'm not sure whether I guess they must give you something to come out of the kind of mild sedation you're in, and that made me feel quite sick. So yeah, I think I kind of retched a bit, lovely. And I got extremely sweaty all of a sudden, just like almost every pore opened up. And yeah, I was then wheeled back into my room where I saw Marie, and Marie was like, obviously, you know, slightly taken aback, but you know, I was talkative and I could kind of reassure her that, you know, everything was okay. That night in the hospital, I was asleep and then woke up in a lot of pain because my eye really hurt. It felt like something was in there, like glass or sand, and every time I tried to get it out, I couldn't. And so kind of the nurses had to be called, and the doctors who were there at that time, and they kind of assured me nothing was in there, and they basically just gave me some kind of drug which just knocked me out, and I'd fall asleep, and then I'd wake up, same pain, same process, they would knock me out again. And it kind of got better a little bit by the morning, and when the surgeons came to see me the next day, they said it was probably dry eye, which basically means that your eye has dried out, and so lots of kind of drops were put in there, and I then had an eye patch on for the next 24 hours, which was a bit of a nuisance, but ultimately it cured the dry eye, and yeah, the next day after that I didn't have the patch anymore, and that was much better.